Welcome to Agents Growth Academy. My name is Jim Schubert, and I am your headmaster because this is an academy. I am unbelievably excited today to bring to you Brandon Smith, and he's going to talk about what it means to dream again and a few other things. But before we bring Brandon in, I want to talk a little bit about developing relationships and one of the most effective ways that you can do that. One thing I've learned is storytelling is unbelievably important. A lot of people are talking about it these days, but not a lot of people really understand how to craft and retell a story in such a way that you can really influence people and get them to do the things that you want them to do. And also at the same time, build deep, genuine relationships with people, because storytelling is one of the most influential ways of communicating with people. So if you go to agentsgrowthacademy.com/stories, I have put together a framework for you to use in crafting stories. These may be stories from your clients, from claims reps, or your carriers, whoever it is, that you can interweave into your conversations that you're having. This can actually literally, and I've seen it happen over and over, help you convert more leads by drawing people in closer to you. So I've put together the framework, some examples, and a worksheet you can use for you to create your own really dynamic stories that you can kind of have like a list and be ready to go. So agentsgrowthacademy.com/stories. Today's guest, Brandon Smith. A lot of you know him. I don't, and I'm actually excited to get to know him. I have a few questions that I'm burning to ask too. Brandon is working to be a catalyst in the evolution of independent agents. In addition to his role as EVP of Development and Strategy at Glidewell, he's the founder of Producer Development Program. He also was co-founder of Insurance Agency Owners Alliance, IAOA. A lot of us know that. Over 8,000 agents that are part of that, and they innovate and collaborate through events, webinars, and more. Brandon has spent years motivating and inspiring audiences to get out of their comfort zone and to dream again. With his background as a Dave Ramsey-endorsed local provider for Glidewell, Brandon honed his skills and helps motivate audiences who are just surviving in business rather than thriving. With his engaging and fun personality, Brandon connects with his audiences and delivers content that they can immediately use when they get back to their home or office. That's kind of super important. The 19-year industry veteran was recognized by Rough Notes magazine as their cover agent in July of 2020. He attended Southwestern University on a basketball scholarship and still enjoys hoops in his free time. Brandon is a die-hard Red Sox fan. Kind of interested to ask you about that. Loves coffee and Wi-Fi, and was once a line leader in second grade. Brandon, his wife Joy, and 3 children, Avery, who's 14, Boston, who's 12, and Harper, or if you're in Boston, Hapa, reside in Missoula, Montana. Brandon Smith, what is going on, my friend?
Jim, how are you? So good to be here. So excited for our time together.
I love that you just walked up to the mic. Like you were walking in the door and you're ready to go. Like you were off stage and now you're on stage.
Well, it kind of feels that way, but as you were doing, going through that intro and saying all those nice things that are relatively true, I was just pacing here in my office listening and like really debating whether or not I need to update that, if the joke about being a line leader is still funny and relevant. So I was actually listening to like, do I want to listen to this guy, Brandon? Like, does he have any credibility here? So yeah, then walked on. Here we are on stage. Let's go.
I love it. Okay, I got to ask you about the Boston connection, because you even named one of your children Boston, and you're a diehard Red Sox fan. You live in Montana. Tell me about this.
I do. So long story short, my grandfather, born and raised here in Montana, was in the military, was in the Navy during World War II. The USS Missouri was hit, pulled into Boston Harbor to have some work done on it. He had 6 months leave during the war while the ship was being repaired. And one night at a bar, dancing and hanging out, met the woman who became my grandmother. After the war, they got married. She relocated to Auburn, Washington, where he was stationed. And when he left the service, came back to Montana. So my dad, aunts, and uncles growing up spent every summer road tripping in the station wagon back to Boston, going to Fenway Park, watching the Celtics at the Garden. And so I was just kind of born into the Boston lineage of great legends. And 1986, 4 years old. I don't remember the game in details, but I remember the disappointment and heartache when the ball went through Bill Buckner's legs as my dad just collapsed on our living room floor. And just the pain and agony was the moment where I became a Sox fan. And then just a few months later, the Celtics won the championship in '86, and I was hooked. And so a lot of my friends think my son's name Boston is due to the Celtics and Sox, but the truth is it's much deeper. It's the family lineage, and that's where our roots come from.
That is so cool, man. Have you ever been to Boston? Have you spent time there?
Several times. One of
Yeah.
my favorite cities in America. I
Yeah.
love the history. The older I get, the more I appreciate history and just walking the cobblestone of Boston and Freedom Trail.
Yeah.
Uh, Fenway Park is like the best place to hang out on a weekend, afternoon in the summer with the family. So we are big fans of Boston, the city, not just the sports teams, but just New England. Just it's kind of an anomaly. It's a fun place to go to and just hang out because culturally it's so different from Western
Um,
Montana.
1000% agree. So I went to Boston College, and that's where I met my wife. We both went to BC. I grew up here in
Go Eagles.
Atlanta, but
Yeah,
we spend our summers, we have for the last, really, I mean, on and off and more over the last 20 years since we've been married, spent our summers in Rhode Island because that's where she's from.
okay,
So we're
that's
building
great.
a house
So,
there right now.
so you can relate to this. One of my
Oh yeah.
favorite pastimes is going to Boston, checking to the hotel, and going for a jog through Boston Commons.
Yep.
Just soaking it in. Just
Yeah.
usually there's a light rain or sprinkle, but there's just something about it that it's more magical than Disney World. Like it's my place of just like, yeah, I love it.
I
Love
love it.
Boston.
One of the best cities to walk around.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's so much fun. I never had a car when I was there the whole time, and that was great because I really
yeah,
did like take advantage of walking the whole city, taking the T and all that stuff. So yeah,
love it.
that's cool, man. That's cool. So now the only thing you have to do is that wall behind you, just paint it green and write green monster,
Green Monster.
and
Yeah,
then you're good to go. So
yeah. It's funny when my son was born. My grandmother actually made several phone calls and emails and got the mayor of Boston to write us a letter and call us to congratulate us on the birth of our son, Boston. Uh, my grandma, just for years, has done things like this. Unfortunately, she's no longer with us. But when my dad turned 33, she had set up a phone call from Larry Bird to tell him
Oh
happy
my god,
33rd birthday.
no way.
So we
Did
bleed
that
green.
happen?
It didn't happen. He doesn't know if the call was missed, but it was scheduled, supposed to happen, and the phone never rang.
Oh
Um,
man.
but just those sort of things. All this on the shelf back to me. I've got a dozen or so baseballs signed from Sox legends. From just we've been to more games, and just the opportunity we've had is been incredible.
That's phenomenal,
And
man.
just continually setting up the opportunities just to meet you know players that were heroes of mine as a kid, and now my son, for him to be able to see Dustin Pedroia was
Yeah,
just a moment that we'll hold on to forever.
it's beautiful. Never forget when my wife was pregnant with our first child, my son, and she was very, very close. Well, actually, no, she was sort of towards the beginning of the pregnancy, so she was really, really tired, and that was the year that the Red Sox first won the World Series since like 86 years of
Yeah,
drought, right? And
2004.
man, I was up, I was screaming, and I was just running around, and she slept through the whole thing. I was like, "You gotta be kidding me! You're the one from New England."
Yeah, I could take you to the spot I was standing uh, when they recorded that last out, and just
Ah,
it was bigger than the Sox winning. It was like family coming together. It
Yeah,
was emotional and kind of weird to talk about and makes us sound pretty shallow, but yeah, it was amazing. And we love Boston. So,
I love it. I love it. And I think
yeah.
it's kind of probably part of what we're going to talk about today a little bit is that it's it's something that brings people together. And that's one thing that I've noticed. As I said, I don't really know you that well, but I did my digging. And what I can tell is you are passionate about building relationships and about making connections. And we talked a little bit off air about that and the fact that this is God's greatest industry on the planet, and the fact that one of the reasons is because there's some really good people, and making, amazing connections like this, and then being
Yeah.
able to translate that into meeting people in person. And I'm curious, I asked you when we were preparing for the show, if this interview were a masterclass, what would you name it? You said, this is the shortest answer I've gotten from anybody so far. And this is episode 40, by the way, I think, was dream again. And I love that. And I'm curious. And I want to know from you, was there a pivotal moment for you or an epiphany that you said, people or I need to dream again? What is that?
Yeah. Um, Such a great question that you ask, and it was such an easy question for me to answer because so much of who I am and what I do is wrapped around those two words, dream
Yeah.
again. It's the name of our podcast. It's the name of a lot of presentations I do. I speak about in the business sector, and Jim, it's like each of us was born with a dream. And when we look back at our childhood, like we had these dreams, we had these desires to be a firefighter or a policeman or Batman and Superman or a doctor or a dinosaur, or, a princess and a dinosaur. But then at some point in life, whether it's in our 20s, our 30s, our 40s, those dreams just turn into routines. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden we realize, hey, we're sitting on the curb of life, watching the parade of life pass us by, where we become spectators rather than the ones throwing out the candy, making a difference, making people smile. We're there just sitting there saying, throw me candy, give me, give me, give me. And we are not making a difference or an impact in the world. And it's because our dreams turn into routines. And I think, like many of us, in the industry, I think just humanity in general, we've all failed, we've all blown it, we've all messed up. And one of the things I learned early in my business career that is, in order to have success, however you want to define that, we could come up with 1,000 different definitions of success. But in order to have that success, you have to first fail and learn from those mistakes. And there's this fear that, if we aren't good enough, if we don't measure up, if we don't get the sale, that defines us, and then that paralyzes us. And the next thing you know, we're that innocent bystander sitting on the corner, watching the parade, watching the industry, watching the others become great and do everything that was inside of us when we started in this industry. But there's so much to that perspective is very, very key. I love the phrase from Tiger Woods, or the quote where he said, "I never learned anything from a tournament I won." It's when we lose. It's when we don't get the sale. It's when
Yeah.
we hire a bad employee and have to let them go. Like, it's those situations that make us great and help us learn and uh, build a business, build a life, and overcome adversity. I think the second part to dreaming again is you have to learn to not let those failures get a hold of you.
Yeah.
I referenced a minute ago, we let them define us. And every day we're confronted by impossible situations, overwhelming. School, life, politics, pandemics, jobs, bosses, customers, clients, underwriters, spouses, like the list goes on and on. And so it's easy to settle for average. It's easy to just let the weight of the world just push us down to that curb where, again, we're sitting there just watching life pass us by. So to dream again, I think first we have to learn from our mistakes. Two, we can't let failure get a hold of us. And three, I believe every major difficulty we face in life is a fork in the road, and we have to either choose break down or break through. And it's not easy.
Yeah.
Very difficult. And so, um, yeah, I mean, I could go on and on about
Well, I'm
dreaming
I'm
again.
curious. Give me an example of something for you that was that third thing, that thing that you know had to overcome, or a mistake or failure, and then your realization that you had to press on.
Yeah, industry related. Back in 2006, we were growing like crazy, writing a ton of business. We were in a market that was very profitable, hard market. Rates were high, things were great. We're writing a lot of business, and then we thought, well, the only way to keep this going is to go out and hire a bunch of producers. So we went out, hired like crazy because the leads were there, the opportunities were there, and we began writing a ton of business. Well, looking back, what happened in about 2009, and the irony of this is this has nothing to do with the financial collapse in America, has nothing to do with the housing market. This is purely the same time frame for our business.
Yeah.
Was that business we wrote became so service intensive that it was extremely unprofitable for us. We had
Hmm.
spent several years writing all the contractors, subcontractors, these $400-500 bought policies that daily needed certificates, APIs, filing small claims, tools being stolen. Like it was a grind. Like we could not keep up. And
I'm
it
sure
got
no
to
one here can relate to that. No, I'm kidding.
it got to the point, Jim, where it nearly bankrupted us because
Yeah.
of what we were paying in,
Mm.
compensation, salaries, commissions was greater than profitability. And I hear a lot of people in the industry talking about, these conferences, and it's kind of the like, sizing guys up, like, hey, so how big's your book?
Yeah.
Um, which I think is ridiculous. If we can just get
Yeah.
rid of that question, I appreciate that. But I always hear people say, no, the real question should be, what's your revenue? And
Hmm.
as a young, you know, business major working in the industry, like that made a lot of sense and resonated with me. But I have found that that is still a fallacy, that the true measure should be profitability.
Yeah.
How profitable are you? Not your revenue.
Yeah.
Revenue is very, we can make numbers say whatever they want. But
Yeah.
if you're not profitable, you're not going to be in business long. And so we had the revenue, we had the book size, we didn't have the profitability, and we had to scale back. We had to downsize our team. We had to roll a bunch of our business, get it out from under our roof, and get back to who are we, what do we do well, what's profitable, and then focus in on those. And so it was we had the dream in 2006 to grow, to
Yeah.
be great, to have that success.
Yeah.
In 2009, when we were at this fork in the road of breakdown or breakthrough, we had to choose, uh, make the hard decision, the discipline, and do the right thing. And luckily, here we are in 2022, and it's been great. It hasn't been easy. It definitely has its ups and downs, but so blessed and grateful for where we are today.
That's awesome, man. Thank you for that story. As we talked about
Yeah,
stories before, I'm curious. I have to imagine that there's, especially when you talk about like getting back to what you guys know, and I don't know exactly what that is. I looked at your website. I have some semblance of what that is. But one thing I read that you had posted on LinkedIn. By the way, thank you. You're a podcast host dream. Uh, Having looked back not too many posts ago, and you literally wrote a post called something like, "Hey, if you don't know me that well," and it was like a bullet point list, and I was like, "This is perfect. I don't know him that well, and I've got all these questions I can ask him." Um, but one of the things, and I don't remember if it was there or it may have been actually on your speaking website. You talked about building meaningful relationships and how that was important. But then you also talked about converting over 6,500 digital leads per year. Now I'm curious. I presume that's like these days and not those tougher days that you were trying to get out of. But my question is, how do you build meaningful relationships
yeah.
when you're converting over 6,500 digital leads a year?
That's a great question, and one of the topics I love to speak and present on. I feel like in our industry right now, Jim, there is this gap that is getting bigger and bigger, I mean, and it's deep, and it's this gap between relationships and technology.
Yeah.
We have a generation ahead of us that believes so much in relationships. They believe the single best way to market is being a booster for the local high school booster club, being at the game Friday night, being in the barber seat in the barber shop Saturday morning with the boosters talking and complaining about the coach and the strategy. It's Friday night lights. Like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is how you market in America, especially rural America. But then we have this generation on the other side of this gap that is, we can automate that. Let's just use technology. I'll build the
Yeah.
software. I'm just going to sit in my pajamas in my mom's basement and work. We don't need people. We've got robots and insure tech and artificial intelligence to do all this for us. Who's right? We both are.
I
We
was just
need
gonna
both.
say. I was hoping you
We
would say
need,
that. Yeah.
we need both. So the problem isn't what we think it is. The problem isn't I need to get to that side, or the problem is you need to come to this side. The problem is the gap between where you are and where you want to be.
Yeah.
So the solution to that, I believe, is balance. You have to have both. You can't cut off your nose to spite your face. You have to have relationships. You have to have technology. And so I believe I've said this for years, and I will continue to say it every time I'm on stage. The difference between a contact and a contract is the letter R.
Huh.
It's relationships.
I love that.
The difference between a shopper and a buyer is a relationship. The difference between a casual, somebody looking in the windows and an actual consumer of your product is a relationship. And you see, Jim, when you have a relationship with someone, when you genuinely care about them and have a relationship, their heart follows. And when you have their heart, their wallet follows, the referrals follow, the retention follows. So we have to take time to value people over programs, value people over policies, over premiums, all the P's. People are the most important part of this industry. People provide for our families by the products they buy. And the only way that they're going to do that and renew next year is by maintaining a healthy relationship. So we are very people focused, people driven in all conversations and how we work and operate. But at the same time, we have all kinds of technology and automation that comes in alongside to enhance the relationship, not replace the relationship. And I see multiple agents, so they're on this either side of this gap, and they're like, "Oh, we've been doing this wrong for 60 years. I'm still operating the way my grandfather taught me during the Great Depression. I'm still wearing the same suit that was handed down to him in the 40s." And we realize, "Oh no, I need technology." So we scrap what we're doing and we try to jump to the other side of this gap, and we have no idea where to start with technology. Or the reverse is true. We're so tech driven that we become social, we don't have the social skills. We become nerds because we're so into the data and the facts, and this is how it has to work. And then we walk out the front door of our office and we don't know how to network. We don't know how to relate to people on the street. We don't know how to meet them where they're at and genuinely love them and care about them. Because when you do, when that relationship is developed, the sale takes care of itself.
Yeah.
They call you and say, "Hey, you can help me with this, right? Hey, I have some
Yeah.
questions. Can you?" And it makes the process so much easier. And then on the flip side, when they are a customer, it's so much easier to have a difficult conversation with your friends. If I called you, Jim, and I said, "Jim, I got some bad news. That claim is just, it's not going to be covered. Here's why. It sucks. I'm sorry. On the other side of this, we might have some other options to look at to prevent this in the future, but it sucks. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry."
Yeah.
But if it's somebody we don't have a relationship with, there's fear of pushback, retaliation, a negative Google review, hate speech. They're going to go and tell 11 people statistically about how bad you and your team are and your mom and your agency. Relationships. We
Yeah.
have to value people over products.
If you don't mind, I'll jump in for a second because it just made me think. I've literally spent the last week dealing with my 16-year-old son's car that we bought from Carvana. This is not going to be a rant on Carvana. Actually, Carvana, you guys saved yourselves, and here's how it happened. Talking about exactly what you're talking about. They essentially sold us a lemon, whatever. He's had it for 6 months. It's been in the shop literally 3 times last week alone. We've had it towed a couple times. It's been stalling out as he's driving. He's a 16-year-old. He doesn't need that. People could easily run into him. He could get in a wreck. Bad things. So I go in all hot and bothered, ready to rip somebody's head off. And I get somebody on the phone who did what everybody in my agency, I hope, would do. And I think most do. And I bet they do in yours too. She listened. She just listened. And then she repeated back to me what I said. And she acknowledged that she understood what I said. And I was able to, continue on and calm down a little. And then the best part is she advocated for me. And
I love that.
she went to bat. And I actually thought, because I had previously, like during the middle of taking his car in a couple times, I had spoken to somebody else at Carvana, and they wanted to give us a very small amount back for that car. And I said, no, that's not going to cut it. This lady said, I'm going to try to get what's known as a delayed back out, which basically means you're backing out of the deal. We paid cash, so there was nothing like, we're just going to get money back if anything happens. She said, it's going to be tough. I don't know if it's going to happen. We'll try. She came back 1 day later. She's like, you're not going to believe this. I told them your story. Like, I actually told them your story and how you were really scared that your son was going to get in an accident. And she said, honestly, I think that's what made it. She said, usually this takes a couple of weeks or so. And when I told them your story, the higher ups were like, just do the thing. Give them the full amount that they paid, even though they've had the car for 6 months. Just give them every penny back towards a credit for a new car. So not a pitch for Carvana, but thank you, Carvana. And but it speaks. I think it speaks very well to what you're saying, because it's all about the relationships.
It is, and like, I love that story. I mean, that's a story I will more than likely share with our team about people and relationships, and that's a great story. But there's still that tendency of, we got to use technology, we got to update, we got to improve, and there was this fear in the industry for years, and it's still out there a little bit, that technology and all this intelligence out there is going to disrupt our industry. That Amazon or Google are going to put us under. And technology by itself is not a disruptor. It's not being customer centric is the biggest threat to our agencies. Focus on the people. Use technology. Don't use technology. Just don't forget the people. Because without people, we can't have business. Without you, Carvana doesn't have a business. And so, yes, you aren't here making a public statement of, hey, I'm endorsing Carvana, but you're publicly endorsing Carvana. You had a great experience. You were impressed with the level of service you received, and here you are talking about it because it made an impact on your life. I challenge listeners. I challenge my team. I challenge you, Jim. Like, every opportunity we get, let's focus on people. And the best way to do it, often people are like, oh, how do you do that? What's that look like? You said it best. Listen. If you just stop talking and listen, they will tell you everything you need to know in order to make the situation a positive. So I love it. Applaud Carvana.
Yeah, me too, especially after this week. You're so right. One thing I kind of highlighted here in my notes, you said technology that enhances the relationship. So can you give me some concrete examples of technology that does that, or whether you name them or not, just examples of things that you guys are doing or using that enhances that relationship?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many vendors and third parties in the insurance space that I love all the people. Unfortunately, I'm not able to use all their products. So we really have to use what works best for us and helps us achieve our mission. So we rely heavily on our CRM as a sales funnel where we still proactively pick up the phone with every lead we get. but we are automating some texts and emails when we get a voicemail or a voicemail drop. We're still real. We're given direct lines. They're not getting a phone tree and automated system when they call us back because we value the people and relationships. But we're coming alongside to strengthen and allowing our automation to do the follow up. I want our team to be focused on revenue generating tasks, conversations that lead to better, healthier, more meaningful relationships, not just drafting another email or a text message to say, hey, would love to talk to you about your insurance.
Yeah.
Yes, you could say we're focusing on revenue tasks versus, follow up. But truthfully, it comes back to people. Our team is focused on the people and the individual, not the scripting of messages and emails and phone tag.
Yeah. I was trying to look up while you were saying that. God, there was a quote that I know we talked about brain share and you had major FOMO offline about not being there. But man, there was one thing, I think it was Chris Paradiso who talked about, because we were talking a lot, he talked a lot about automation. Sorry to do this in the middle, but somebody said something about, I can't find it now, but it was either Chris Paradiso, Billy Wagner. Sorry guys if I'm getting all this wrong, but somebody said something like, use automation or outsource things only when it doesn't add value to the relationship. And that's kind of what it sounded like you were saying with how you guys choose when to use technology or not, because you do have the personal relationship, and there's only so many things that automated emails and outsourcing of processes and things can, like, those things are necessary, but it's taking away from the value that person in your agency is adding to the relationship.
Right. We're very strategic, Jim, in the relationship piece where I want a new client to meet as many people on our team as possible, because the more people you meet, the deeper the relationships. There's an emotional connection of knowing the family, if you will. So as I give the example of the technology of, hey, we use the CRM to come alongside and enhance the relationship, let me give you an example on the other side of how we're using relationships to come alongside the technology to enhance the relationship. Whenever we write a new policy, part of our new client onboarding, day 5, the policy gets issued day 1, and we have different touch points and handwritten thank you cards. But on day 5, our business administrator, she picks up the phone, she calls them, and regardless if they answer or leave a voicemail, just says something like, Jim, this is so-and-so from Glidewell. I see you recently became a policyholder with our office. I just wanted to call you and thank you. We are honored that you would consider doing business with us. We look forward to building a relationship with you. Thank you. Period. They're expecting a cross-sell and upsell, some additional information, but purely thank you. That's it.
Somebody that they didn't even interact with yet.
Never even interacted with. It's a new person, a new relationship. Now, what we're doing is we're teeing up other conversations when automations come. It's not like, oh, who is this? They've heard from them. They've met from them. And so the reason we have our office administrator or bookkeeper do that is because she's not selling anything. She's not there to gain anything. And it's just a, hey, we value you. Thank you. Period. It's a 10-second conversation, and it catches people off guard every single time because they expect, thank you for your business. Oh, and it's not that at all. Her job is purely thank you. We value you. Looking forward to the future. That's manual labor. That's picking up the phone and dialing a number.
Yeah.
But it's important because we want people to know we value them.
Yeah. Something automation can't replace. And I mean, straight to the heart of, there is a specific place and a need for automation with emails or other forms of communication, SMS, whatever it is. But that is something that I doubt most agencies who are more highly automated are taking the time to think to do, because you're right. You said it before, you can get caught up in all the automation just for the sake of automation, but you run the risk of losing the relationship, which is obviously key.
I think a great sports analogy. Right now in the middle of the NBA playoffs, and go Celtics. The the you know, in basketball, your defense should always be solid. That should be consistent night
Yeah.
after night. Your
Yeah.
offense comes and goes. There's poor shooting nights, but defense should always be there. And so, on the business channel, the relationship piece should always be there. The technology, things get unplugged, zaps stop working, software goes down, servers break, there's power outages. None of that is dependent on the relationship. And
Yeah.
so that's why we have to have both, because you cannot rely 100% on technology. Because if you do, there's going to be a disruption that has a negative experience for your customer. They didn't get the email, they didn't hear from you, you didn't call them back, whatever, 100 different examples of what could go wrong. But
Yeah.
with the relationship piece and direct access changes everything.
Yeah. We're literally like, for those who are watching this, living in this in real time, because your video for a minute kind of went a little blurry, but I could still hear you just fine. but that
Well
was the
played.
most important part, was the words and the relationship and
Crazy.
the connection.
Yeah. Relationships more important than a camera.
Yeah, to your point. Yeah,
So great.
technology will always fail you, but you're right. If you fail people enough on a relationship standpoint, it's just not gonna it's not gonna fly long term.
Yeah.
Love it, love it. We can get back to some of this if you want towards the end. I'm interested, and I actually forgot to tell you or remind you about the rapid fire round that we
I'm
do
ready.
here. So, all right, let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Bring on the healing. Bring on the love.
Okay.
One piece of technology. This is so appropriate. One piece of technology or software you can't live without. And if you tell me your cell phone, you have to give me an app. But anything,
Okay.
really.
So I knew this question was coming, and I stressed out more than I should have trying to come
Oh,
up with
jeez. Okay. I'm sorry I created stress in your life, Brandon.
what am I giving Jim? What am I giving the listeners? And I landed with, it's not flashy, it's not sexy, but I went with Microsoft Planner.
Okay.
We have so many projects going on between podcasts and YouTube and marketing and content and writing new automations, and there's literally, I think we have 32 different projects right now, and
Wow.
who those are assigned to which person on our team is writing the blog post that it's going to be coming up. And so Microsoft Planner, which is included in your Office 365 account, is just a great platform to plug in to-do list, the status, who it's assigned to. They get an email when ball's now in their court. So it's just a way for us to use technology to make sure that we are moving forward on all the dozens of projects we have going out, from insurance to marketing to media to employee satisfaction projects to customer satisfaction to renewal campaigns. I've learned. I mean, we say we can't live without our phone, but I'm finding more and more that Microsoft Planner is very important in our day to day.
You'd be lost, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you for that one. I appreciate that. That was no one has said that yet, and honestly, I don't even know that I've checked that out. So I'm gonna have to look into that, because
there's a few of them in there. Microsoft Planner, Microsoft To-Do List, and they all sync. Like, so we use To-Do List to just list out, here's the things I need to do today, and you can sync it directly with your calendar. Yeah, there's actually a handful of Microsoft products that we don't even realize exist. They're all behind the scenes because Word, Excel, and PowerPoint get all the attention.
Yeah.
Planner, OneNote, To-Do List, I love, and they all have apps, so
awesome,
mobile friendly. So
yes, we have to have that today. That's for sure. All right, one book that you're reading or that you've read that you just want to share with everybody that you love.
Yeah, I'm not a reader. In 2021, one of my goals for the year was to read 2 books.
Yeah.
For the year, like 2.
2.
And one of my rules is, if I'm going to read a book, it can't be thicker than the watch band on my Apple Watch. Thicker than that, I'm not going to read it. It's over my head. And so I actually forced myself to read because I wanted to read 2 books, and developed some new habits and found that, wow, this is really good for me and I'm enjoying it. And ended up reading 20 some books in 2021 and have developed new habits of consistently reading. And I am currently reading, recommended to me by a great friend who I trust, a book called Alienated America.
Ooh.
And the book, the subtitle is the American Dream Dead?
Ooh.
And a very interesting book about why some places thrive while others collapse. And one of the premises is where you start determines where you end up. And it dives a little bit into politics and like primary elections, not the
Mhm.
big national, the primary elections, and how people vote and live in those communities, and really breaks down like it's just fascinating.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm reading it, I'm only 4 chapters in, so right now it's a lot of just premise and where the statistics are coming from and how they did this research.
Yeah.
Um, but the reason it was recommended to me was, hey, for your business, for your marketing, this will help you understand why places thrive, why
Mm.
others collapse, and so that you can tailor your marketing to fit in a environment that is thriving. So I'm not really big into politics, so there's a lot in here that's over my head or irrelevant. But
Yeah.
I just love the premise of where you start determines where you end up, and it is the American dream dead? And
Yeah.
the answer is no.
Right.
But I think, but the American dream is more about culture than
Mm.
economics. It's more about community than
Yeah.
economics. It's more about people and relationships. And the communities that are thriving across America today are the ones that are still well knit with a sense of community.
It's like a summary of the podcast episode that
It's
we've
pretty
just
wild.
recorded
So
together.
yeah,
I mean, even to
so
the
I
point
don't.
of like dream again is the American dream dead relationships, connections.
So, Alienated America by Timothy Carney. I'm only four
Awesome.
chapters in. Don't know that I can recommend it yet, but
Yeah.
promised a good friend that I'd read it, and I trust him. So, there you go.
Kudos to you for doing your homework, by the way. I really appreciate that.
Oh,
And I just want to make sure I understand. You said that you set out to read 2 books in 2021, but instead you accidentally read 21.
yeah. I
Wow.
believe it was 20. And
That's super impressive.
well, thank you. I mean, I know people that read
What
20 books a month.
what
Like
do you
it's
what do you
just,
attribute that to though? I mean, was there one book that you read that like was the catalyst for you developing really good habits?
I did. I read a book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry.
Of what?
And The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, Hurry.
Oh, hurry. Okay.
Why am I in such a hurry to become somebody I don't like? And from that book is really what birthed um, the book I wrote last year, the planner of everybody enters this industry, Jim, for one of 2 reasons, or maybe 3. You're born into it, or earning capacity and lifestyle. We hear that all the time, earning capacity and lifestyle. Yet we're busier than we've ever been, and we're still not satisfied with the results. We are running an agency from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We go home, see our kids, see our wife, put them to bed, and then we get back to work on our marketing, our software, our startup, our insurtech project that we're involved in. And like the hamster wheel never stops. And the word hurry has the root of the word hurricane is hurry. When you're in a hurry, there's a whirlwind inside of you. There's hurdles that you have to overcome. Life is difficult when you are in a hurry. Like think about the last couple of days of your life. Anytime you're in a hurry, it's because of poor time management.
Mm.
Now, yes, there's moments we need to hurry and grab our kid because they're running in front of a car. But if I'm trying to get out of the house and I say to my daughter Harper, hurry, we got to go. Hurry, get your shoes on. That's poor parenting on my part. I failed to set expectations. I failed to
Mm.
communicate the plan. I failed to help her get to where we need to be. When we're in a hurry in traffic, it's nothing good comes from hurry. But that's how we live life every day. Go, 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 go. And so I read this book and it just got me thinking about how to set up my calendar and schedule and make sure that I am living the life I dreamt of. Could we make more money? Yes. Could I say yes to other opportunities and people and programs? Yes. But I've had to learn the disciplines to manage my time, because that's the only thing we can do to make sure we're living the lifestyle we've always wanted and being content with earning capacity. So that book changed everything for me. So in my calendar, I have a time where I block out uh, 30 minutes of reading twice a week. That's it. I won't read any more than that because I don't enjoy it, but I know it's so good
Hard to teach an old
for
dog new tricks.
growth and personal development. It makes me a better husband, father, leader, speaker, board member, community member. And if I think I'm good just the way I am, that's so selfish and nearsighted. That's about me. And I
Yeah.
believe I was created, each of us was created to offer something more to people in our community. And as soon as I think I'm good, I don't need to read, I don't need to learn. It was very selfish. So that's just kind of been my journey. And I'm still not a fan of reading, but I do it because
I
it makes
appreciate
the
I
life
appreciate
of,
your candor.
yeah.
I love it, man. I'm so glad we uncovered that. I almost didn't ask that question, but honestly, for me, that like I love the concept of the first book you gave, but I am super curious about this book too. So thank you very much,
It's
man.
Jim. When was the last time you were bored?
Yeah, I mean, I literally can't think. Yeah,
We stand in line at the coffee shop and pull out our phone, and
yeah,
it's this.
yeah,
Like, when's the last time you were on an airplane and you had nothing to do? You just sat there and enjoyed the flight. It
yeah,
doesn't happen. Like, what happened to the days of just standing in line and striking up a conversation with the elderly couple in front of us at the coffee shop and just putting a smile on their face? But we're in this constant state of hurry, go, 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 and we wonder why at the
yeah,
end of the night we're so exhausted, and we need a vacation, and we come home from a vacation needing a vacation. We've gone massages and pedicures and spa days. That doesn't fix anything. It's managing the time we do have and being present in those moments. So,
yeah.
um,
Being
yeah,
present.
hopefully that's helpful for somebody listening. Oh,
Dude, preach it. I mean, seriously, this is what I get fired up about too. Have you do you know who Tommy Breedlove is? He was on this show.
I'm
The book,
not one of the digital friends.
yeah, there's a
Yeah.
book that I think you need to put on your list called Legendary, and it
Okay.
kind of takes some of the concepts you're talking about to the next level in terms of how can you create for yourself a legendary life by still doing all the things that you want to do that you feel rushed to do, but kind of using sort of that same planning system that you're talking about, but also focusing on being present. That was one
Yeah.
thing I learned. I actually, after I read the book, I got to know him. I went on his retreat. One of the things I came home from or came home with as a new good habit is, just like you, I have 3 kids. They're around the same ages as your kids. And when I come into the house every evening, we redid our kitchen last year. It took forever because of the pandemic. But we've got these like floating shelves above a little coffee bar. I know
Hmm.
you're a big coffee fan because I researched you. Um,
I am.
and I literally take my phone and I reach for the top shelf that I can barely reach and I set it up there and I leave it there for the night. And I just engage. And I'm
Yeah.
not perfect at it because sometimes like I do keep my watch on because if my leadership team needs me at work, like if there's, especially if there's like a payment that has to go through, I'm the only one that can approve it in the bank. I need to at least feel the tap, look at it real quick and go, okay, yeah, I need to go do that real quick. And then the rest of the night, I'm just there. And it has
You know,
changed my life more than anything else
you're
recently.
you're preaching to the choir. What I've found through this last couple of years is that work-life balance isn't a 50-50 split. We try really hard to dissect the pie into equal quadrants and where am I, and it's, am I living life right now or am I at work? What is it? And then I found myself when I'm at work, I'm thinking to myself, okay, when I get home, we got to mow the lawn. Oh, we got to get the oil changed in the Tahoe. And I'm not present at work. And then when I'm at home, it's like, oh, that project at the office, I got to get it done tonight for tomorrow morning's meeting. And I'm not present. And life balance is being 100% present. It's
Yeah.
what the world doesn't stop. So what's in front of you right now is the most important. Our families understand we have businesses, and you get that notification on your watch and have to respond. Your family understands and gets that. But I love what you do with your phone. I kid you not. In our kitchen, we have floating shelves, Jim, on each side of the sink. And up on the top right hand side, I have a box here in my office.
Yeah.
We have another one. We have another one just like that up on the shelf in our kitchen. And at dinner time, our phones, iPods, all the kids go in that box. Because if it's out of sight, it's out of mind.
Yeah.
Because I found that I would take my phone and I would sit it on the kitchen counter, go to dinner, but then I would need to grab sour cream.
Yeah.
So I'd walk to the fridge, and as I get to the fridge, I pick up my phone to see what time
Yeah.
it is. I'm like, oh, Jim texted me.
Yeah.
Sucked in.
Yeah.
And then I take it back to the table with me. So we put it in a box where we can't see it.
Yeah.
And then once the kids are in bed, pull it out and check and see what's going on and scroll social media. But
Sure.
I've even tried to put in my calendar timeframes to scroll social media because we get sucked into it. Like, yes, I post, but then I walk away. But I got a time on Tuesday afternoon and I have a time on Friday morning that is in my calendar to scroll. This is where I engage, where I encourage people, where I like their posts, where I tell them their new baby's beautiful, where I continue to build the community. But I need to do it on my terms because we know as soon as we pick it up, we get sucked in and we lose. We fall back to the whirlwind of life and can't figure out why we can't get anything accomplished.
Yeah.
So,
God bless you, man. I'm so glad you talked about that because I think that's as important as anything else we've talked about today. I know this podcast is about, branding, marketing, and agency operations, but folks, like if you can't get control of your self and your digital urges, and this is literally crack cocaine. I don't know if you know that, but it's built with crack inside, and we are addicted beyond belief. And you can't efficiently and effectively run an agency or grow a book of business or whatever your role is in the agency if you're constantly addicted to that and what it tells you to, you need to do, because it's telling you what you need to do. You're not dictating it. It controls you. God, man, preach it. Love it. We could go on a tangent for this forever. And I love that you and I are kindred spirits in that. And I really respect the heck out of you for having that under control.
It's mutual. Out of control is a stretch. It's a battle every day.
It is.
Every day.
It really is. And I'm not perfect either, man. But I tell you what, it sounds like what you're doing and what I'm trying to do too are at least making an impact with our families to whatever degree that we can get that under control. Yeah.
I can say I'm a better dad, husband, father today than I was a year ago because of just the small disciplines trying to build these small habits. It doesn't change overnight.
No. And that's all that matters as long as you're growing. Super curious. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Ask for help. Humans like to be valuable, and we will have more success due to others' contributions, due to those relationships. As a young leader, I used to worry about asking for help on big decisions because it would make me look weak. I'm not a leader because I need help. And I found that, you know what actually looks weak? Going at it by yourself and making bad decisions. There's a lot of wisdom in the counsel of others. And so younger Brandon, ask for help.
I love it. We're going to send this to the time machine and you'll get that soon. Yeah. Love it. I love it. One final piece of advice or actionable step for our audience that you could leave with them with.
Right now in our industry, we've got, I think, 5 generations in America today. We've got guys in their 80s still working in our offices down to teenagers interning. So speaking to audiences of small family agencies to large corporate America to startups to somebody just starting in their career to somebody who's tenured, my advice would be to all: don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle.
Mm,
Don't compare where you're at to where they are. Stay true to who you are. Stay true to your dream. Learn from your mistakes. Ask for help. Value people. Build relationships. And just, you will get there. But as soon as you fall prey to the comparison game, it either elevates you to a place of pride of you think you've arrived, woe is me, and that house will fall quick, or a place of woe is me, I'm not good enough, I never measure up, and creates depression and anxiety and other weight that you don't want to carry. So it's not easy, but don't compare your beginning to somebody else.
I love it, man. Anybody ever tell you you're just a damn good person?
Hey, I appreciate it. Would you mind telling my wife?
Sure, absolutely. Bring her on in.
Um, yeah, no, thank you. I really appreciate that. If I'm being completely vulnerable and transparent, I don't like insurance. Insurance isn't fun. It's not cool. I value, I really value people and try to live that out every day and teach it to my kids that
Yeah.
we aren't we aren't called to be right. We're called to be kind. And uh, yes, we can be right about things, but kindness is more important. And if I can teach my kids that, they'll teach their kids that, and that's what makes the world better. And it's again relationships. I feel like that's just been the theme of this conversation unintentionally. My passion truly is motivate, encourage, challenge people just to think differently. Um, you hear all these big motivational speakers saying, "Hey, you got to think outside the box. You got to innovate."
Yeah.
Let's just start thinking inside the box. Let's just start
Yeah.
thinking. Let's just
Yeah.
start there. And we don't need to be right. Just be kind, love people. Business will take care of itself. I truly believe if you do the right thing for others, business takes care of itself.
Absolutely, man.
So thank you, man. I really do appreciate that, Jim.
Yeah. Well, it's from the heart, man. This is also from the heart. My next question, my last question for you. If you
Okay.
had the option between eating some hot, delicious soup and consuming gourmet marshmallows and hot chocolate, what would you choose?
Wow. Um, I feel like I'm not sophisticated enough for soup. I feel like you have like crumpets or some sort of scone or bread. Like I'm always like a meat, potatoes, burgers guy. But I have never been a fan of hot chocolate. I don't
Really?
I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm a coffee snob, but I don't. I'm all for the sugar and sweetness. I just not a hot chocolate fan. So I think I'm gonna try to grow and become something bigger here. I'm gonna go soup. I'm a
You're
soup
gonna
guy.
go soup. What would be your favorite?
Oh wow. Like all I really know is like Campbell's. You know,
I
tomato,
mean, like not
tomato
brand, but actually like
Tuscan tomato, or um, I don't know. I'm
like
not a soup
so
guy, but I'm becoming one. I'm
yeah. What
sophisticated.
chicken noodle, tomato, broccoli and
Tomato,
cheddar.
tomato grilled cheese. That was a staple of my childhood. I wouldn't be who I am today, Jim, if it weren't for grilled cheese and tomato soup.
Let's make those dreams. Let's dream again. And I'm gonna send you some tomato soup from Spoonful of Comfort, and
Ah,
you and your family get to enjoy that together. I'm gonna make sure
thank
that
you.
I up the order to be able to feed a family of 5. Uh,
I'm so
and I'm gonna get your address off air, and we'll send that out to you. But we've sent it to a lot of guests who choose that on the show. We've also sent it to all of our staff for employee appreciation during the pandemic when we couldn't all get together. It was one of the things they loved the most. So I
that's
want to share
awesome.
that with you and your
Well,
family.
thank you. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. Not necessary at all. So heart full of gratitude. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandon, where can people get more of you in their life if they happen to be in front of a computer and want to connect with you, or a phone, or a
I am
payphone?
all over social, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram handle at Brandon, the number 5, MITH. Brandon Smith is a very common name. And so roll with the 5. But yeah, LinkedIn, brandonsmith.pro is my website for speaking, coaching, development. We have producerdp.com, which is a producer development program where I just believe so much in investing in the next generation and not helping them get licensed or pass their tests, helping them build relationships, learning
Yeah.
how to network, how to ask the right questions, how to sell on value rather than price. All the things our agency owners have told us, sell on value, not price. What's the how to?
Yeah.
So producer development program, or yeah, again, social media, glidewell.pro is our agency site. And I would be honored to continue this conversation with anyone. So please don't hesitate. Reach out, call me, email, DM, whatever platform you're on. I'm there.
Cool, man. Love it. Thank you so much for being on the show today. Stick with me for 1 minute, but it was an awesome, awesome conversation I think we had today. So thank you very much, man.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate you more than you know.
Yeah, my pleasure. Folks, until next time, grow big or go home.